In Hawaiian tradition, the sky speaks. When Halley's Comet appeared in the late 1750s, it was later linked to the birth of a boy destined to change the islands, Kamehameha. Though his exact birth year is debated, the comet became central to his legend. Alapa Inui, a powerful chief and Kamehameha's uncle, feared the prophecy. When a noblewoman gave birth to a son, the child was seen not as an heir, but as a future threat to every ruler in his path. A child hidden in the mountains. Kamehameha, born Paia, according to many accounts, did not begin life with open celebration. Tradition says he was hurried away for safety and raised in secrecy for a time, shielded from rivals who might kill him before he could even walk. What matters most isn't whether every detail happened exactly as later storytellers described, but what the legend reveals: Hawaii Island was politically dangerous. Prophecies carried real power, and a child's existence could become a fuse to war. Eventually, the boy returned to the royal court. He grew up under the watch of his uncle Kalani Pu'u, one of the island's most important rulers in the late 18th century, learning how power actually worked through genealogy, alliances, ritual authority, and the hard edge of warfare. And as Kamehameha matured, stories clustered around him like birds around a cliff, signs, tests, and feats that seemed to prove he carried unusual mana, spiritual authority and force. The Naha Stone and the weight of destiny. One famous tale says Kamehameha moved the Naha Stone, a sacred object associated with legitimacy and conquest. The details vary depending on the source, but the role of the story is clear. It's a chosen one moment, the kind that makes chiefs look at each other and think, if this is true, we better pick a side early. Because on the Hawaiian Islands, belief wasn't separate from politics. If enough important people believed the prophecy, then the prophecy started becoming reality, when the ocean brought a new kind of thunder. For generations, inter-island conflict was brutal but familiar. Spears, clubs, daggers of shark tooth and bone, battles decided by courage, formations, and the favor of the gods. Then, near the end of the 1770s, unfamiliar ships began appearing on the horizon. In January 1779, British explorer Captain James Cook anchored at Kealakekua Bay on Hawaii Island. His arrival coincided with Makahiki, a sacred season associated with the god Lono, feasting, sport, ritual, and a pause from war. Early interactions were marked by ceremony, curiosity, and exchange, but the calm didn't last. Cook left, returned soon after due to damage to his ship, and tensions escalated fast, petty theft, quarrels, and distrust piling up like dry wood. On 14 February 1779, Cook attempted to take Kalaniʻipuʻu hostage as leverage to recover a stolen boat. The plan detonated. Crowds gathered. Weapons rose. Shots were fired. Cook was killed in the clash on the shore at Kealakekua Bay. Kamehameha was present in this world, watching, learning, absorbing the lesson that would echo through his decisions for decades. A small number of foreigners with firearms could terrify an entire shoreline. What would happen if an organized army came back? That realization didn't just change warfare. It changed the stakes of unity. A chain of islands that stayed divided could be conquered piece by piece. A chain that stood together might survive the century ahead. The inheritance that split a kingdom. In April 1782, Kalaniʻipuʻu died. His son Kuala inherited the kingship, but Kamehameha received something just as explosive: guardianship of Kailimoku, the war god whose favor could legitimize conquest along with control of key lands. In practical terms, the inheritance didn't settle the succession, it guaranteed a struggle over who held real authority. Chiefs began choosing camps. Rivalries sharpened. The island of Hawaii slid toward the kind of conflict where every victory creates two new enemies, those you defeated and those who fear you next. Kamehameha's rise was not a single battle or a single speech. It was a long grind of alliance building, strategic patience, and ruthless timing. Because conquering Hawaii wasn't like conquering a city. It was conquering a landscape of proud chiefs, sacred rules, and generations of grudges. Two foreigners who changed everything. By 1790, traders were visiting the islands more often. and one ugly chain of events, sparked by arrogance, punishment, and revenge, ended up placing two invaluable men into Kamehameha's orbit. American captain Simon Metcalf flogged the chief Kamehameha after an encounter that offended him. Later, Metcalf carried out the Olowalu massacre on Maui, luring canoes close and firing cannon into them, killing around 100 Hawaiians. Weeks later, Metcalf's son Thomas arrived on the schooner Fair American and paid the price for his father's cruelty. Kamehameha's men captured the vessel, killed most of the crew, and spared only one survivor, Isaac Davis. Around the same time, another sailor, John Young, came ashore from Metcalf's larger ship and was detained. Here's where Kamehameha's genius shows up in a quiet, decisive way. He could have executed them. He could have traded them. He could have treated them as curiosities. Instead, he made them assets. Davis and Young became trusted advisors. They helped train warriors, maintain firearms, and operate cannons, turning scattered foreign technology into consistent battlefield advantage. The river that turned red. Kamehameha's campaign expanded beyond Hawaii Island. In 1790, his forces fought on Maui in the Battle of Kamehameha in Au Valley. The clash was savage, and later accounts describe the stream choked with bodies, so many that the water seemed damned. What made Kamehameha especially terrifying wasn't just the bloodshed, it was the blending of worlds, traditional Hawaiian combat colliding with cannon fire operated by Young and Davis. This wasn't simply better weapons win. It was organization, training, logistics, shock, and the psychological collapse that happens when a battlefield suddenly includes thunder that tears through lines from a distance. Fire on the road. Around this same period, oral histories describe a devastating volcanic event tied to the wars on Hawaii Island, often linked to Kauaʻi's forces moving through the Kauaʻi region. A famous set of preserved tracks, known today as the 1790 footprints, sits near Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, left in wet ash and later hardened into a kind of accidental monument. Some traditions associate them with warriors and families caught in the eruption's deadly surge, though scientists and historians debate exactly who made which tracks. Regardless, the political impact of disaster is real. In a world where divine favor mattered, nature could be read as a verdict. A chief who survived and surged afterward didn't just look strong. He looked chosen. The Leaping Mullet. By 1795, Kamehameha launched the campaign that would break the power of Oahu's rulers. He landed with a massive force, often estimated in the thousands, and fought through skirmishes that drove defenders up Nuuanu Valley toward the cliffs of the Pali. In the final phase, warriors were forced over the edge in large numbers, giving the battle its Hawaiian name, Kalelekaʻane, the Leaping Mullet. Accounts vary on casualties, but the event became one of the most famous turning points in the Unification Wars. The battle also included betrayal. One chief, Kaiana, defected and aided Kamehameha's enemies before being killed in the fighting. Another reminder that Hawaiian politics could turn on personal grievance as much as grand strategy. After Nuuanu, the remaining resistance was no longer an equal rival, it was a problem to be hunted down. A kingdom completed without a final slaughter. Even after conquering the major islands, Kauaʻi and Niihau remained outside Kamehameha's direct control. Attempts to invade were frustrated by storms and disease in different accounts, and the cost of forcing a landing was enormous. In 1810, Kauaʻi's ruler, Kauaʻi, agreed to become a vassal, bringing the island peacefully into Kamehameha's realm, finally creating a unified kingdom of Hawaii. It's easy to miss how rare that is in history. A leader who spent decades waging war still recognized that the cleanest victory can be the one where the knives stay sheathed. Why Kamehameha's story still hits hard. Kamehameha didn't unify Hawaii by being the strongest fighter in a single moment. He unified it by understanding what was changing: the arrival of foreign weapons, foreign diseases, foreign trade, foreign empires, and realizing that the old island-by-island rivalries were becoming suicidal. His life reads like myth, a comet birth, a hunted infant, sacred stones, battlefield prophecies. But beneath the legend is a very modern kind of intelligence, adaptability, coalition management, and strategic patience. And that's why his legacy still echoes across Hawaii today, not only as a conqueror, but as the architect of a kingdom that could stand on the world stage before the storm of the 19th century fully arrived. History remembers the battles, but the real story is what came after. A child hunted by prophecy became the man who united the islands through strategy, not just strength. If you enjoyed this video of Kamehameha's rise, more untold history is coming. If you want to be smarter every day, like and subscribe.